Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at Stamford Bridge is just about to get underway. Paul Tierney just checking his watch, checking things with the match director. And we are now underway here at Stamford Bridge. A big game for both sides. Chelsea in 11th place on 42 points. I'd say probably about 30 points short of where they should be, considering the ambition and the squad that they have. Nottingham Forest currently sits 3 points clear of the drop zone, and they'll be looking to try and to get some further distance. But they say it might not be the best time to play Chelsea, considering that Frank Lampard's side did seem to turn a corner in their win away at Bournemouth last week, and did commentary of that, and I felt that they were very good value for their win, and certainly an improvement on the previous performances we saw under Frank Lampard's second tenure. So we are underway here now with Chelsea trying to win the ball back here in midfield. It's Lewis Hall who has the starts at left back this afternoon. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz, and Tom Hill taking you through the action. Tom, it's as I say, it's certainly not an easy game for Nottingham Forest by any stretch. Chelsea will be looking to try and build on what they did last week.
Yeah, I think last week, Paul, was great, wasn't it, for both teams? Real morale boosting week. Forest digging in, horrible conditions in the pouring rain to get a result, and Chelsea finally getting that. I guess I say morale boosting. It's still a very poor season for Chelsea. You rightly said they should have so many more points than they do. But yeah, I mean, Chelsea at home, I think it's players are now playing for positions for next season, aren't they? Yes, it's not under Lampard, but if the ownership are going to be as aggressive as they were in January, then you might get a boatload more signings. So it's Chelsea trying to set the tempo. I think it's a bit of a free hit for Forest in a way. Try and make it respectable if they do lose, and of course take it forward into next week. And Leeds just getting a point, that isn't Forest's biggest fear at the minute. It's the likes of Everton and Leicester that are a little bit closer in proximity.
Absolutely, yes. Although both those sides have difficult games this weekend. Everton against Manchester City and Leicester play Liverpool. The last two games for Forest after today, they're home to Arsenal in the evening kickoff next Saturday, and then they play away to Palace on the last day of the season. So it's still a lot of work here for Steve Cooper's side, you would fancy. As well as this game, it's Villa against Spurs, Palace against Bournemouth, Manchester United against Wolves, and Southampton against Fulham. It's a busy 3 p.m. this afternoon in the Premier League. There's also the League One playoffs have just kicked off between Bolton and Barnsley, and there's also the small matter of the National League, which is being decided this weekend as well, as Notts County, I should say, take on Chesterfield. That is a 3:30 kick-off. Anything happening in that game, we will let you know as well. But Forest so far in this game, trying to see a little bit of the ball early on. Just to remind you very quickly, the two teams, Edouard Mendy is in goal for Chelsea, a back four of Trevor Chalobah, Thiago Silva, Benoit Badiashile and Lewis Hall. Mateo Kovacic, Enzo Fernandez and Conor Gallagher make up the midfield three, with Noni Madueke, Raheem Sterling and João Felix as the attacking three. For Forest, it is Keylor Navas in goal, a back three of Joe Worrell, Felipe and Moussa Niakate. The four across the middle are Serge Aurier, Orel Mangala, Danilo and Renan Lodi, with Ryan Yates, Morgan Gibbs-White and Taiwo Awoniyi as the attacking three. Just as I was saying that, Forest had a bit of possession down the right-hand side. Badiashile with the clearance, and Forest now have the first corner kick of the afternoon. So some work for Edouard Mendy and his defenders. It's over here on the right-hand side, likely to be left-footed in-swinging ball from Renan Lodi. And plenty to aim for inside that penalty area. A lot of activity there in front of Mendy, who has now been given the number one start ahead of Kepa this afternoon. Lodi now looking to try and whip this in. He gets a bit of pace on it, aiming towards that near post. And there is a header there. I think it was Felipe trying to get towards that. Was Thiago Silva beating him to it? I think it might be out for another corner.
Yeah, it wasn't the best ball, I didn't think, in terms of, does it beat the near post man? But it's teasing enough. It's not a terrible corner, but just about got there at the last second, the Chelsea player, to get the touch. So yeah, in fact, no, they're saying Forest got the touch. So there's a lot of confusion there. It wasn't the worst set piece, but you'd like to think that's a bit of a leveler really for Forest. Get the ball in. They've got some big centre halves to try and compete with them. You'd like a bit better next
time. Absolutely. I mean, it's something we could rant all afternoon about players that can't beat the first man at the near post with a corner kick. We won't bother doing that now, though. But Chelsea on the attack now down the left-hand side. Hall and Sterling exchanging a quick pass, and as Sterling took possession of that ball, he seems to have run into Ryan Yates, who just needs a moment to pick himself up there. The Forest winger seems like he's okay now. Referee, in fact, asking Chelsea to take that throw again. Quite sure what the issue was there for Paul Tierney, but Chelsea do go back towards the halfway line now. Badiashile squared towards Thiago Silva. And Enzo Fernandez in towards Chalobah. João Felix immediately has Felipe on his back. That's clumsy from Felipe. João Felix was going nowhere. In fact, he was actually backing away from the penalty area. And then Danilo, it's not much of a foul, but why encourage the referee to give a free kick there?
Yeah, it's not a foul in terms of, if we had to give it, would we let it fly? I'm sure we would, but modern day referees a couple of metres away from it. Don't put your arm on his shoulders, and he does that straight away.
Free kick taken short, and Badishle's gone on an overlap down the left-hand side. His cross is charged down by Worrell, and Forest now looking to try and play out from the back. They might regret that because immediately the ball deflects off as he was trying to push forward there, Aurier, but they get a bit of a break. At least it goes out for a throw, although Chelsea have possession straight back. All goes in towards Fernandez, back towards Thiago Silva. Inside the centre circle, Enzo Fernandez now. Out towards the right-hand side, Conor Gallagher enjoying a good run of games under Frank Lampard now. Here's Madueke, tricky winger here on the right-hand side, stopped by Mangala. Mangala saying it should be a throw to Forest. The linesman disagreed. Chelsea back in possession, but not really able to get into the box at this stage. Forest doing what they can just to try and close things up here in midfield. It's Chalobah down the right-hand side, back towards Thiago Silva. Now Badishile, so Chelsea enjoying a lot of possession here down the left-hand side, but no way of getting into the box. Sterling stopped by Aurier. A bit of pressing there from Yates, but Chelsea still able to hold on to the ball. And it could be like this a lot of the afternoon. Chelsea seeing a lot of the ball. Is just a question of how Forest pick them off, and from Chelsea's point of view, how they actually break the visitors down.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. In terms, I think Forest are not that bothered if they do this, Chelsea, because sometimes I think they've been guilty of not really being aggressive enough when they've got the ball. If they're just going side to side across the back four or back three, whichever formation it will be at the time, I think Forest will take that. As long as they don't give free kicks away, and as I say that, they bring down Conor Gallagher, then that is where they can going to be punished. But it's very important, isn't it? 20-25 minutes to still be at 0-0. Try and give yourself a confidence boost, because Forest's away record is woeful. So
no, it's not good at all. As I say, it's regardless of who they're playing, Forest are going to struggle based on their form up to now this season. It's a clumsy challenge there from Oro Mangala, bringing down Conor Gallagher. So a free kick to Chelsea in a much better position. We've got our first goal of the 3 o'clock kickoffs as well. Villa take an early lead against Spurs. We'll just confirm the goal scorer in a moment. But right now we've got this free kick for Chelsea in a decent position as well. And it's the youngster Lewis Hall standing over this one. He's a left-footer on the right-hand side. He's going to try and whip this in with pace. Puts a bit of height on it. Aims at the back post. Headed up in the air. And Forest are saying there should be a free kick for the challenge there from João Felix. He bumps into Ryan Yates and the referee agrees.
Yeah, he's not really played the ball and jumped into the back of him. I think the Forest players milked it a little. But, that's modern-day Premier League football nowadays. If he doesn't, and Chelsea then have another attack, his man just have a go at him, isn't he? So.
Well, it's just, it moves in for, as I say, over time. There was a time when only sort of tricky and slightly more, dare I say, delicate players would look to try and go win a free kick in that attacking position. But now it's got to the stage where defenders, even goalkeepers, know how to show the officials that they've been pushed or gently shoved in some way, just to try and win themselves a free kick. And by and large, particularly when it's like a high ball like that, the referee tends to go for it. But now a long clearance for Forest, straight into Chelsea possession. Hall hooks it up in the air. Gallagher nods it forward towards João Felix. He's got Felipe on his back, but he still finds a pass out to Kovacic. And then it's Hall looking for Raheem Sterling. 2 players on Sterling there. The ball won't reach him, and now Gibbs White, such a big player for Forest in that last game. Gibbs White plays the ball back. It's then Awoniyi chasing it down, but again, I mean, it's the slightest contact there. Awoniyi almost can't believe it there when that free kick is given against him. I mean, Badishile, I would argue, and Awoniyi would probably be a similar weight division in terms of a boxing ring, but slightest contact there, and the linesman goes for it straight away.
Yeah, sometimes I like to see those given and play on, because you want to see the advantage. Was it shoulder to shoulder? Probably not. But the game, I think that sums up the game, Paul. 9 minutes in, I'm getting a little bit frustrated watching, because you just want to see it burst into life a little bit. They're both doing the same things, though, aren't they? They're both niggly fouls, just slowing the game down. So I understand it from a Chelsea and the Forest perspective. As a neutral, I'd like to see a bit more action.
Yeah, absolutely. You just want to see some attacking play actually develop here, because there's been a lot of midfield possession for Chelsea, but not much else, as Danilo now does well just to win the ball back for Forest. That should be a throw-on to the visitors now. Down the left-hand side. Forest have struggled all season away from home, but they have picked up some big wins at home, and that 4-3 win against Southampton and that 3-1 win against Brighton, both of those coming in the last few weeks. Massive results to give them a fighting chance of avoiding relegation, but there's still a lot of work to do to make sure they do stay in the division. Serge Aurier now down the right-hand side. He finds Gibbs White, gets away from Barishile, but no option to go forward, having to go back towards the halfway line, and now Mangala back towards Felipe. Pushing for us, a really terrible touch there. What on earth was Niakate doing? He just loses the ball, and all of a sudden it's a chance for Chelsea to go forward, but they waste that chance almost as quickly, with Gallagher going out towards the right-hand side to pass to no one.
Yeah, I think Chelsea's midfielders got to get to grip with things. I know Fernandes, in the time I saw him at Benfica, was pretty impressive, but I don't think he's got to grip yet with the Premier League to control matters. I still think Kovacic is a good player, but they're on about getting rid of him, aren't they, to cash in. You do wonder sometimes what the motivation is for someone like him in the middle of the park. I think got to try and get Chelsea controlling. It's a perfect example. Forest give it away, you can then pounce. There's just a real lack of cohesion, I think, at Chelsea. You just don't know who is going to do it. And Frank Lampard said in the week, we've not named the same team all season. We haven't, that's what a team needs. You look at other clubs, Brentford's, Brighton's, other teams like that, Newcastle, on their day, will name their same teams. That's why they're all doing so well. Yeah,
absolutely, because there is that consistency. There's sometimes some of the fans of those teams get frustrated by a lack of rotation, but then you've got to sort of be careful what you wish for there, really.
And just as Chelsea have got a free kick, you could say the same about Forest. At the start of the season, it was a case of like a bit of a merry-go-round, wasn't it? Who's going to play, who's not?
Well, I think it's because both teams have signed players almost, if you like, via a couple of committees, it would seem, where the ownership and the directors want certain players, then the manager and the coaches want certain players, and you end up signing sort of players from both lists, and then you end up with a situation like Thiago Silva described in an interview recently, where he's aware of the training ground at Chelsea having to have its changing room extended because there are so many players in the first team now they couldn't actually all fit in there at the start of the season. So there's going to have to be some changes at Chelsea in terms of the playing squad. They've got far too many players, and as I say, especially now that they haven't got Champions League football next season, there's not going to be that extra revenue either to cover that in terms of the finances. But that's a bit of a strange ball out there from Barishile. Just hooks one up in the air and goes straight out for a throw. 12 minutes gone, unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary, goalless here between Chelsea and Forest, and you could say it's properly goalless so far. There's never really been any kind of threat to the scoreline so far in these first 12 minutes. Throw on to Forest now down the right-hand side. So trying to get as much distance as he can here. Launching this one forward was Worrell. The ball now bounces back into midfield. Forest still keep possession though. It's spread out towards the left-hand side by Danilo. And now Lodi with a deep cross into the penalty area. Awoniyi with the header. And on 13 minutes, it's Nottingham Forest that take the lead. Awoniyi with a very sort of calm and measured celebration, but it was a very simple goal from the visitors, really. Quick possession in midfield. Lodi with a nice deep cross, something for Awoniyi to attack. He attacks it and Forest lead.
Well, they make it look really simple, but it isn't it, Paul? A cross out wide. You just think you're going to put it into an area, but Chelsea will deal with it. That's where you've got another situation where a goalkeeper's barely played all season. He isn't fully into the rhythm of a game. He comes out, he's in no man's land, misses it. It's a good header.
It's a good header. We'll see from this replay again. Yeah, it's just too slow to that one, Edouard Mendy, and it's Awoniyi with his striker's instinct getting there first. And so the deadlock is broken early on here at Stamford Bridge. It's Chelsea 0, Nottingham Forest 1. And that's off the back of Chelsea seeing a lot more of the possession in the first 13 minutes. Forest really struggling to create anything going forward. But then all of a sudden, just a bit of midfield possession for the visitors. A ball out towards the left-hand side, and it was a lovely, deep, angled cross from Renan Lodi. Something for Taiwo Awoniyi to attack at the edge of the 6-yard box. He got there a good second or two before Edouard Mendy was a bit slow to react. And Forest will be delighted with this. It's Chelsea 0, Nottingham Forest 1.
Yeah, big mistake that from the goalkeeper, caught in between two sort of mindsets. Do I go, do I stay? And as you say, Paul, because he was so late off his line, it then gave the Forest player the jump and the head starts. And that is a very disjointed Chelsea defence. Thiago Silva, a man that's oozed class all of his career, was a sitting duck, and so was Barishile that was underneath it. So the Forest fans delighted. They lead at Stamford Bridge. Not a sentence they ever thought they'd hear this season. When the game first was put in this month of May, you always thought this would be a bit of a free hit. Steve Cooper's side 1-0 up, 14.5 minutes gone, and I mean, we can't moan now. We've got a goal, but from a home perspective for Chelsea, 15 minutes in, doing nothing against the keeper?
Nothing at all. There's been no work for Keylor Navas whatsoever. Plenty of work for I was going to say for his defenders, but it's almost for the midfield, really. I mean, there's not really been any sort of last-ditch challenges from any of the centre-backs, and Forest have actually given the ball away a couple of times. I mean, Niakate was a bit slow to give the ball away just seconds before the goal was scored, but then Forest won it back, and all of a sudden they were on the attack as Aurier chases one down the right-hand side. He won't keep that in play. Lewis Hall with a quick throw back towards the edge of the area, and the atmosphere at Stamford Bridge now will be quite tense. Wouldn't say it would be toxic, and that's probably an exaggeration, but certainly this is an amazing stat though, Tom. 85% possession for Chelsea, 15 for Forest, but Chelsea haven't had an effort on goal. Forest have had 2, and they've scored a goal. So as I say, it's 85 to 15 after over 15 minutes of play is actually a massive difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's clinical, isn't it, on the counter attack? They've managed to get forward here again though, and Chelsea stopped it with Silva. That's the only operator they've got at the back that seems to have got some control of matters, and with a bit of a scramble they hook it clear. So I think it's Forest's game to go and lose now. You know, protect the game to Chelsea. They're still as fragile as ever, and as you say, I think it's one of those. Can the fans be really that mad at Lampard, who's just come into the end of the season? For me, he's out of his depth massively. I don't think he proved in the Championship he could do it. He stepped in to try and help his club. You can't. I understand, but it's a no-lose for him, isn't it? In a way, he sees it as that.
He sees it that way.
Run, I think it is. He's losing out though.
I think. I mean, the fact is that he didn't have an amazing time first time here as manager. He had a very tough time of it at Everton. And really, I think if your name's not Frank Lampard, based on how it went at Everton, you don't get the Chelsea job on a caretaker basis. Apart from the fact that he is a Chelsea legend, and that was figured as a way of him sort of diffusing the situation in the dressing room. But as I say, if he loses that dressing room in the first couple of days and the players don't take to him, then it's not going to make much of a difference anyway.
No, it's certainly not. You know, and you look at the Forest situation on the opposite side of things. They stuck by Cooper. There was the talks that they were going to get rid. Players have continuously fought for him. He's had a hard task at the minute. It's working well as they put a ball in the box, but it's sliced behind for a goal kick. But since the goal, Chelsea have done nothing. Chelsea have done nothing.
I mean, you could argue that Chelsea before the goal were doing nothing, but at least they had a lot of possession. Now in the last minute or two, they've struggled to even have the ball. But Edouard Mendy now restarts play, and Fernandes brings it out here for Nottingham Forest, out towards the right-hand side for Trevor Chalobah. Side now to Fernandes. He pings the ball over the top here. One for Sterling to chase. Sterling does get there, and it's a last-ditch challenge. And it's a good challenge as well from Worrell. Whether or not Sterling could have got there a bit quicker, but it was just a ball over the top. And suddenly Forest are now on the counter as Gibbs-White plays the ball out towards Awoniyi. That's good work, though, from Badishile. Just about got enough of his body in the way to stop Awoniyi, then played a ball out. And then in the end, Gibbs-White brings down Lewis Hall for a free kick to Chelsea. But Sterling, anonymous in this game so far, suddenly had a decent chance. Should he be doing better here?
I'm in two minds. At first I thought he did, but then I'm looking at the replay, Paul, and thinking, did it bounce favourably enough? Here come Chelsea, though.
Well, Chalobah drops a shoulder and breaks into the box from the right-hand side. He lifts the ball in. It's over the head of Sterling, but it drops to Hall. Hall goes for goal, going for that near post. Charged down by Serge Aurier. And Gibbs-White now tries to bring it out for Nottingham Forest. Just checks his run. Goes back towards Joe Worrell, and then he goes back towards Aurier. It's almost as if Forest saw a chance to counter, but then thought, no, we're better off just slowing things down, because there's always a chance we could lose the ball. They prefer to go back towards their goalkeeper. For all the signings that Forest have made, the January signing of Navas, I think, has probably been their best one, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a few games when he's played, you know, man of the match potential, kept his team in the game. He's helped them get a draw or a win here and there. I mean, what a signing to make for a lower league, a lower placing club in the Premier League, an ex-player of PSG and Real Madrid. I mean, not many teams could do that.
No, as to say, and certainly has appeared at the World Cup for his country as well. Wealth of experience, and I always do think that if you've got a goalkeeper that just instills confidence in the rest of the team, there's less chance of others making a mistake. Although, just as I say that, it's a terrible out from Niakate. He's given a couple away already in this game, and here come Chelsea now with Madueke. Gets all the way to the byline, puts the ball in. It's Felipe, and that's a clever block from him as well. Don't just boot it anywhere, he just rolls it towards the edge of his own box. Ryan Yates can bring it out now for Forest. Almost ran it out of play himself, in fact, Ryan Yates, but he goes back towards Renan Lodi. Had a very impressive assist with that Forest goal, and clear. Again, he's another good player, Renan Lodi. I mean, they've obviously signed. You mentioned they've signed a whole wealth of players, but Lodi again, somebody who you would potentially expect to perhaps be, to dare I say, a slightly higher placed club. But he's had some big moments for Forest this season as well. as Chelsea now look to go forward here with João Felix, but it's just Forest just seem to have the edge of their box sewn up at the moment.
It's really compact, it's quite controlled. Chelsea looking controlled weirdly, but they've got nothing to show for it. They're not really getting the fans on their feet. A little bit better the last couple of minutes, with Hall having a shot and Madueke getting in behind. That's a little bit better. If they can keep this up now for 5-10 minutes, they can put Forest under pressure, but they've got to be a little bit more energetic, I think, just raise the pace of the game a little.
Got to try and do something just to surprise Forest, because at the moment, whatever Chelsea are doing, Forest are expecting it as the visitors clear their lines. It's taken down really well on the chest there by Awoniyi, then just held onto the ball, and now Forest can go forward here down the right-hand side with Aurier being hassled here by Lewis Hall, having to go back towards the halfway line for Worrell. And then he rolls it towards Felipe. But there's no panic from Forest here. They're quite happy just to hold on to the ball. Niakate now on the left-hand side. Against the middle. No change in any of the other games, so it's still goalless between Palace and Bournemouth, Man United and Wolves, and Southampton and Fulham. And Villa still with that early lead against Spurs as Chelsea win the ball back down at the edge of their own box. Madueke and Chalobah exchanging passes. And Fernandes then plays one across his own box, but it was a safe pass in the end. It reaches Hall on the left-hand side. Now looking to try and get a ball over the top, changes his mind, just plays it short to Kovacic. Fernandes then finds João Felix, and now it is opening up a little bit for Chelsea. João Felix nutmegs his man at the edge of the box. It was Yates, and then Gallagher falling over, but still manages to find Madueke, who breaks into the box, drops a shoulder, can't get a shot away. Kovacic now trying to link up with Gallagher, and again, all those red shirts from Forest in front of the box did their job in the end. Chelsea had a little bit more of freedom on that occasion, but still nowhere near getting a shot away at goal, and now a heavy touch from Hall. Forest win it back, and so far it's just been a bit disjointed and flat from Chelsea, and just what you want from as an away performance from Forest.
Yeah, you'd be delighted, wouldn't you, if you were Forest in that away end watching this Chelsea performance. They don't look like they're on the same page, and here come Forest on the counter. The pass is just overhit though.
Such a shame from Awoniyi. Ideally the one Danilo passed, but then Lodi wins that ball back anyway, and here come Forest now. He gets it to Danilo. Danilo with the strike, deflected by Chalobah and out for a corner kick. And as I say, it's a shame in the end of that ball. The initial pass from Awoniyi was over here. Ideally, if Danilo had been passing that to Awoniyi, you'd imagine that it would have reached its target. But even then, Forest still win it back, and a deflected effort goes out for a corner.
I've got a second guess on that I don't think he should pass that ball. I think he should hit it, Lodi. I think he had the momentum. Great left foot. Is Danilo a better striker of the ball than him? I would never say so. Yes, they've got a corner, but I always like a player that's running freely to hit a ball rather than someone that's trying to catch up.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I would have liked to have seen Lodi take a shot at goal himself, but Forest now with this corner kick. Chance to try and test this Chelsea defence again. We already saw Mendy a little bit suspect with that last cross that led to the goal. It's Gibbs-White, puts a bit more height on it, but again it barely gets past the near post. Badiashile in the right place, heads it out for a throw.
Yeah, well dealt with by Chelsea. Again, Forest's set piece, not as good as you would like. Gibbs-White is the man that was responsible for that one. And yeah, you just want to see something a bit more. If you're a Chelsea fan listening, Chelsea fan in the ground, you want a reason to get behind your team, don't you?
You just need a bit of an encouragement, something to hang your coat on, really, in terms of how this game has started. But it's a throw on to Forest now down the left. And what a throw that is from Niakate. He launches that one into the box. Rory Delap would have been proud of that one, but it's headed out for a corner kick, so it ends up being effective.
Yeah, does the job. I mean, again, I said earlier, they've got the bodies forward, the likes of Worrell, Felipe and Niakate, big bodies. That's a good effort to get it in. This third corner hopefully better than the last two.
Well, when you think of how much possession Chelsea have had and how much of it's been in Forest's half, the fact they've not even won themselves a corner kick yet, it tells you everything really in terms of how the game has gone for Chelsea. But Forest have flooded that 6-yard box, make it as difficult as possible for Mendy. Gibbs-White still just waiting to whip this ball in. He's finally put his hand up now, whatever the symbol is. The rest of the team will know. It's now going towards. He's going for goal. Has that struck the bar as Mendy punched that clear? It drops at the edge of the area, and eventually an effort from, I think that was Renan Lodi this time. He sends it a long way over the bar, and that is out for a goal kick. At Stamford Bridge, it is still Chelsea 0, Nottingham Forest 1, but we've been far closer to seeing a second goal for Forest than we have an equaliser for Chelsea. They've just had a corner kick where Gibbs-White actually went for goal, and that very nearly surprised Edouard Mendy. There was also a counter-attack after Awoniyi played in Lodi, and then Lodi laid it off to Danilo, but his effort deflected out for a corner kick. At the other end, there's nothing really for Keylor Navas to do. Plenty of work for his defenders, but Chelsea just struggling to create anything in the final third. And so far, Forest very much a value for this lead. It's Chelsea 0, Nottingham Forest 1. And as we're over the halfway mark, it'll be Tom to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. As Chelsea win a free kick in the middle, referee gives advantage. In fact, I do wonder if they'd have preferred the set piece. They've got it out on the right with Madueke. He goes back to Gallagher. Gallagher shaped as he was going to cross it. Now he does. And it's straight into the hands of Keylor Navas, who doesn't have any real pressure on him. And Gallagher just grimaces and apologises to those that are at the far post. And I do often wonder what Chelsea's tactics are. I do find it fascinating that nobody really has butchered Chelsea in the press for some of the decisions they make. They don't have a natural number 9, and yet they're crossing to Raheem Sterling, and he's been marked by Joe Worrell. I mean, the cross has to go incredibly lucky, or something has to happen as Chelsea win a free kick. I just think aimless balls into the box for Chelsea today are not the recipe they need.
No, they're not, because between them, Niakate, Felipe and Worrell are all excellent in the air. Then you've got Aurier and Lodi coming back into defend. Danilo and Mangala are big units in midfield. So all those players combined are going to deal with Felix or Sterling in front of goal if it's just going to be a hit and hope sort of cross. That's why Chelsea just need to be a little bit more precise.
Yeah, here at Chelsea with Silva in possession. He goes across towards Badashile. Into Kovacic. Kovacic twisting one way then the other. He scoops it forward, managed to pick a gap for Gallagher. Gallagher gets it to Silva. And now Chalobah floats it over the top towards Madueke. Lodi's got it covered and he watches it all the way. Lodi wanted to try and keep that ball up in play or let it go for a goal kick. Instead, try to find touch. He's only picked out Gallagher. Here is the ball into the area from Fernandes. João Felix wanted it on the edge of the box. It's fallen to Sterling, 25 yards out from goal. Raheem Sterling twisting, going for goal now. Sterling blocked on the edge of the area. Gallagher gets it away towards Madueke. Madueke, oh, it's brilliant feet. Not once but twice. Still going into the area he goes, and Yates gets it clear. That was brilliant from Madueke. Just why Chelsea signed him, putting players on the backsides, pressurising for Forest. They were so helpless to stop him. Sadly, he ran out of the shooting room he needed at the very last second. As Kovacic has it now, he rolls it to Hall. And Hall in turn goes back towards Badashile. And now across to Silva. Silva wide towards Chalobah. Chelsea have started to up the ante a little bit in terms of the pace of this passing. But 27 minutes gone, very little to show for it. And I still do wonder, I don't know about what you thought about that comment when I made about crossing into the box. I'm not saying João Felix is a poor player, but you sometimes only can go sideways because you can't trust somebody to drop off. I know they like to play with this false 9, but I just think the entire Chelsea system this year is broken.
Well, it's as I say. I don't think even if you were to ask a player on the field now what sort of attacking formation are you working with today, I'm not sure they could tell you, because it does seem to be very disjointed. There's a bit of a frustrating moment there for Chelsea after a pass deflects off referee Paul Tierney. Although in fairness, it was just a bit of midfield possession anyway. I think that from Chelsea's point of view, the issue is that they've signed players off the back of 3 or 4 different ideas in terms of what the owner wanted, what directors wanted. Thomas Tuchel wanted his players brought in the summer because some of them didn't arrive. He then ends up leaving relatively early in the season, and it's just not worked for Chelsea in the slightest. And it's not working even today as they're trying to push forward now. Madueke finding Gallagher. He cuts it back, but there is Worrell in the right place at the right time. Yeah,
good header away. It's only as far as Chalobah. 28 minutes gone. Chelsea still trying to tick over and keep possession flowing nicely. Fernandes sees a teammate drop off in Felix. Gallagher now. Gallagher waits for Madueke, plays the pass to him. He goes low and hard towards the near post. There's nobody within sight of the 6-yard box, and he just quite simply passes it into Navas' hands. It's pretty, but then this is just absolutely pointless when you get to the edge of the box, as we get a replay here of the chance earlier that fell to Hall. It is the best chance they've had, but a big block by Serge Aurier.
Yes, stopped at the edge of the 6-yard box. In the end, Navas didn't even have to make any kind of save, or they didn't stop the Costa Rican diving for it just in case. But yeah, it's been considering that we've had nearly 29 minutes on the clock, I think that anyone from Nottingham Forest side, including Navas himself, would have expected to have had more work by now.
Yeah, I would agree. We're nearly at half an hour. It's a bit of a tame Premier League, isn't it, today so far? You've had the goals in the first game, but only 2 games with the goal in the 3 o'clock.
Well, I'm worried they might have used up the goal credits for that crazy Bank Holiday Monday where there was 5 goals from one team in every game.
I don't think you could have given anybody a 10p to have a suggestion of well, how do you think the goals are going to go? And they've gone the way they went. I mean, that's just. But now look at that's what happens. Teams are going for it at the bottom because they now realise, right, we've got 3 games to save us. Forest used their counters, the counter against Southampton. If they get a point today, I think Forest is safe.
But a correct score treble of 5-3, 1-5, and 4-3. If anyone got anywhere near that, then fair play to you, because I don't think anybody could have predicted that.
If they are, they're listed in the Bahamas, aren't they?
Yes,
somewhere
absolutely,
nice on a yacht. They should have gone away. As Chelsea come forward with Hall, it's a lazy pass from him. You can tell he's been out of sorts as a first-team player. He has shown the odd flash, but keeps getting dropped, I think, at the time where you'd like to build a bit of a partnership. And his pass there was wayward, but Chelsea, in credit to them, do recover. As Kovacic moves back in forward position, allowing Fernandes to go sideways. Now João Felix is caught. It's a foul by Mangala, and it's potential yellow card territory because he got away from him. And the referee, I think he's just going to keep his cards in his pocket. Mangala's got no complaints though, Paul.
No, I don't think he can have, because it's a lunge from Mangala, and you don't want that from anyone at the edge of your own box, because there's so little chance of him actually winning the ball doing that. And so Chelsea, who've struggled to get any kind of shots away and goal, have now been given a chance to actually get to test Keylor Navas.
Yeah, so Navas stands over and knows that his team have work to do from this wall. Enzo Fernandez is the one that's got ready to take it, the number 5 on his back. You can just see the foam on the pitch to the left of the ball. We are 31 minutes in, and Chelsea, Nottingham Forest, is 0-1 on the score sheet. Just looking at his run up here, Fernandes. Will he try and be a bit creative and cross it? Navas is certainly setting himself for both opportunities, and he does go for goal. Well, the less said about that effort, the better. Enzo Fernandez just smashed the ball into the stands. It's a woeful effort from the forward, and that is disappointment all round. So it is a free kick we will speak nothing of ever again. And we get a replay of that chance for Sterling. Again, I think he's waited for the ball to sit properly like he should have done. I actually think we might have to praise the defending, actually. Looking at that's the third replay. It's a better replay.
Yes.
That's great defending.
It is great defending. It's a great challenge from Joe Worrell. I mean, if Sterling was left-footed, I might have said he should have been taking it first time. But yeah, I agree with you, actually, seeing that last replay, that the bounce just made things a little bit more difficult there, and potentially he needed that to sit up. But I mean, look at the fact that we're talking about, and the fact that the TV pictures we're getting are replaying us a fairly sort of tame and routine shot from around 10 minutes ago, because there really isn't anything else to focus on in terms of the Chelsea attack.
Nope, certainly not. Certainly not. As Manchester United have taken the lead against Wolves, who, of course, Manchester United will be happy with Newcastle's result earlier. Wolves are pretty much well and truly out of it, and it is a goal from Anthony Martial that has...
He's been sort of in and out of favour with 4 or 5 different managers at Old Trafford. You'd think that he'd be on the way out by now, but he still gets goals when he needs to.
Yeah, he's one of those that I'd never think... he hasn't lived up to the hype, has he? As Nottingham Forest have a free kick here, which Morgan Gibbs-White has called rank on. He will take it, and he will swing this ball in right to the far post. Chelsea goalkeeper Mendy, his easiest catch he'll get all day, straight into his hands. He just kicked it to the penalty spot. That wasn't the idea from Gibbs-White, of course. The execution, though, is poor, as Chalabar's got to get a wriggle on to keep the pass from Fernandes in play, which he does. Here is Madueke, just drops the shoulder and looks to try and play a pass, keeps it simple to Silva. Here is Badashile, rolls it left out to Hall. Hall takes a touch and goes past his man. It's good work. Serge Aurier committed himself. Hall towards the byline, cuts it across the face. Good header towards goal! And Felix header saved by Navas. Well, I'll happily be wrong when I say that I'm not sure some of the crosses into the box, but that was perfect to be attacked. João Felix did just that, Paul. It's a good header, and it's just a tremendous save. It's
a great save from Keylor Navas, because he watches that ball and dives with it and catches it and holds it, doesn't just parry it away. But I mean, it's taken 33 minutes for Chelsea to get an effort on goal, which has had the goalkeeper at full stretch.
Yeah, it's better though if we're going to try and get the positives. It's a lot more in sync from Chelsea. You could actually see a plan behind the madness, as here are Forest in possession, and it's an offside flag against Awoniyi, and he will move back into the centre of midfield. So Forest, again, will be absolutely delighted with the scoreline. They'll be delighted with the way that they've managed to keep Chelsea at bay for the most of the game, but be quite clinical on the attack. And even if Chelsea score, I still don't think Forest will feel that they can't score.
No, I think so. I think that the longer that Forest can keep Chelsea at nil is better for them, but they would have already seen enough in this first half to give them some confidence that Chelsea can be got at today.
Yeah, I would say a number of areas there's been weaknesses as Badashile gets hold of the ball, floats it into Kovacic, whose first touch gets him away. Yates, a little nibble on the heels, advantage given by the referee. But Chalobah keeps hold of it, and here is Fernandez. Chelsea would rather have the ball and keep it rather than take a set piece, you'd feel. Gallagher wide towards Madueke, who is driving at this Forest defence. He's asking questions of them, or he played it inside to Gallagher, who dummied it. He didn't realise that the ball was going to be better for him, and Silva concedes a throw. But, I mean, the issue is, and it's pretty clear, I think, from everybody outside Chelsea's organisation, is that they've got too many players. There's got a great right winger, and then they've got a perfectly good right winger behind him, and another one. There's no real hierarchy of right, on our day, our best team is X. But from what I've seen of Madueke, he does look like a player that should be, in the mix.
He does, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Whether or not he's better than Pulisic, better than Ziyech, better than Mudryk, these are all players that are on the Chelsea bench. If I'd need to get the Chelsea website up to list the other 3 or 4 players that could also play in those positions as well. But I mean, it's a very, very lopsided squad. That for all those attacking players, they're missing an out-and-out number 9. Aubameyang's not been able to bed down at Chelsea at all. And it's just been of course, they had a go with getting Lukaku back, and that didn't work last season at all either. So it has been a problem for Chelsea. You wouldn't think that it'd be that difficult to bring in a forward that can score goals when you've almost got an unlimited transfer budget. But Chelsea have shown that it's still actually quite difficult to get the right players in. They're on the attack now with Sterling, whose cross is headed towards the edge of the box by Worrell, and then cleared eventually by Lodi out for a throw.
Yeah, I think it's a bit better that from Chelsea. They're a little bit quicker. There's no thought process behind it. Sometimes acting off instinct and just going for it. That ball into the box was certainly a bit quicker than they perhaps needed to make it. And now they've got possession out on the right-hand side. The ball has gone out of play, though, for a throw-in to Chelsea, which they're in no rush with. Chalobah is just taking his time, and he rolls the ball into the path of Kovacic with the throw. And they're going nowhere here, Chelsea. But now they've gone from right to left. Out with Hall, out towards Sterling. Back it goes to Sterling. I want to see more of him on the ball for Chelsea. Try and get his pace in behind. They've been a bit flat for that. Chelsea still have it here, though, with Fernandez. He'll roll the ball to the right-hand side for Chalobah. Madueke's trying to get in behind. Forest get a touch to it, straight into the hands of Navas. And that will be an easy ball to bring under control.
So at Stamford Bridge, less than 10 minutes to go until half-time now. Still Chelsea 0, Nottingham Forest 1. But Chelsea are starting to see a little bit more of the ball in attack now. There was a decent bit of link-up play down the left with Lewis Hall putting a decent cross in towards João Felix, whose header was on target, and it did force a save from Keylor Navas. Other than that, it's been promising, partially promising, I could say, build-up from Chelsea in terms of the possession they've had. But it's still lacking something in that final third. They're still not connecting as well as Frank Lampard, all the Chelsea fans would like. Forest, for the time being, are certainly holding their own, but they need to be keeping the ball away from their own box. It's still 1-0.
Yeah, João Felix wins a free kick. It's an interesting one because Joe Worrell thought he got the ball and he was away. He was Forest's defender, trying to get the ball to a teammate who could attack, and Forest are now pegged back as it's Chalobah out towards Madueke. Madueke's driving forward. He tries to get it into the gap. He fires it to Gallagher. Gallagher tries to bring it under control. Now a Forest player. Oh, João Felix has booted the ball. It's hit the Forest player in the head, and it's all kicked off at Stamford Bridge. So they've managed to calm it down. I mean, João Felix has got the right to hit this if he doesn't know the referee's whistle's coming. He's just kicked the player in the head with the ball, though, straight away. Nottingham Forest players are going to always stick up for their teammate. I think he's Yates. And, I mean, it's not ideal that he's kicked the ball at his head.
Well, it's not. I mean, you can see that Paul Tierney right now is just making sure that the Forest player is okay. The initial... Yates has been kicked around a couple of times in this game already, but we'll see from this replay. It just gets away from Yates, and as he's trying to get up, it actually missed Yates looking at that replay. I don't think that the ball hits him. What do you think of this, Tom, as we see the replay here? Does he actually get caught in the face here from João Felix? It's close.
No, it's
close.
He's feigned it, right, I'm fine with it.
The intent's not great, though. I mean, I can understand it's one of those things where, I mean, it's caught Yates on the hands as he's hit the deck, but for him to roll around and hold his face like he's been kicked either with the ball or with the studs, we can now see from the replay that neither of those things happened.
What I don't like I actually thought Felix had gone for goal. He hasn't. He just booted the ball at him.
Yeah. Which
is not great. And there's a little bit of pushing and shoving. Worrell is possibly the only one that's got involved. Felix did actually put his arm up to apologise. It's not as if he's bitten back a little bit.
But I like Paul Tierney's reaction. He's just straight away sort of just gesticulating to say, no, look, come on, calm down. I'm aware of what's happened here, and it's definitely not anything like what the Forest man has been saying. But back underway, and thankfully it wasn't too long a stoppage.
No, it wasn't. As we got into the 40th minute, it's still a single goal to nil for Nottingham Forest away from home, as the ball is back in towards Thiago Silva. Silva's going to keep hold of possession and try to find a way through. He just thought about going long then, but decided against it, as it is played back across the defence with Silva again. Here is Kovacic. Kovacic now goes over the top towards Madueke. Forest head clear with Lodi, and again into midfield. That's better from Diakate. Now again from Renan Lodi. He's had a decent game so far, as now Chelsea consider free kick. Silva fouls Awoniyi, as had a goal elsewhere, Paul.
Yes, indeed. Crystal Palace have taken the lead against Bournemouth just before half-time. Just awaiting on a confirmation of the goal scorer in that game. But, fair play. Palace looked to be sinking at one stage, and then people thought, it's a bit of a safe option bringing in Hodgson, but it's actually got Palace from relegation into a position where they could still finish just outside the top 10.
Yeah, amazing. Absolutely amazing. I was at the Leeds game when he beat Leeds 5-1. I've never seen Roy Hodgson's team score more than 3 goals, I don't think. And they were outstanding in that second half that day. And fair play to him to prove the naysayers wrong. Of course, he kept Palace up the last time he left.
He did, yeah, he did absolutely. I just remember you mentioned that game against Leeds. A player who had a good game that afternoon, Bridge, as he has actually got the goal this afternoon as well. He's had an excellent second half of the season.
He certainly has a tremendous player, and I wouldn't surprise me if he and Elise are in Champions League teams in a few years. Around Europe, they've got the technical ability anyway to do that. As there's an injury here to a Chelsea player, we are going to get a break in players. We get a replay of the goal. I don't know if it's Kovacic or Fernandes that's gone to ground, but we get a replay. And again, it's a goalkeeper howler from Mendy.
It is, yeah. It's an interesting one to me as well when you think that Kepa has been Lampard's first choice for most of the time that he's been here. And the other thing as well is that Kepa started in the 3-1 win last week. So it's a bit of a strange one that Lampard's chosen this particular moment to change his goalkeeper as well.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting call. Is he doing it again? He's got a good sample size now. He's had a few games with Kepa. He's now got 3 games with Mendy. I don't know, but and then there's rumours they want another goalkeeper, the technical staff, to come in. They don't mind selling Mendy or Kepa.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there is going to be some goalkeeper movement this summer. We know that Brentford's Raya has turned down 2 offers of a contract, and he's certainly been on the wish list of a couple of Premier League teams, so Brentford will potentially cash in on him. De Gea has, I think, made far too many mistakes this season for Ten Hag at Manchester United, so there's going to be some movement there. You mentioned, of course, the movement at Chelsea in terms of them potentially getting rid of a couple of their goalkeepers, so certainly one of their goalkeepers as well. And Hugo Lloris seems to be on the way out at Spurs, so there's going to be a lot of goalkeeper activity this summer, you feel?
Yep. He certainly feels so. As Chelsea player is Kovacic, who's got, he's got the socks rolled down. He hasn't really. They're just at a normal length. He has them, which is still too low. But he has got, he's got a bit of a worried look on his face. I'm not 100% sure what he's going to do here. He's walking down the touchline, but I'm more inclined he's coming off here, Kovacic, rather than anything else. But
yeah, well, there's certainly a grimace on the face, and it looks like there is going to be a substitution readied here. Kovacic, quick handshake with Frank Lampard, and he's straight off down the tunnel. And just trying to make out who that is that's getting ready. I thought it was Loftus-Cheek, but he's actually got a tracksuit top on, and he's just got his shirt draped over a chair there. So I couldn't quite work out who's going to be coming on now to replace Kovacic. But looking at that Chelsea bench, Tom, you'd think it would be either Loftus-Cheek or potentially, or maybe Pulisic to try and spice things up in midfield a little bit. Maybe.
I thought the only one that was making any movement was Loftus-Cheek. Look, it looked like he was doing something with his socks or his shorts, but. That is a debate that we can add to the others about should players be ready and ready to go. But it looks like a technical staff. I think it is Loftus-Cheek that's going on.
You're right.
Yeah. He's just messing around with his socks, and a member of staff has got his shirt for him. Of course, that's the job of the technical staff to help him out. As Aurier gets to the ball, loops it over the top. It's a great ball in behind. Forest tried to keep hold of it, just couldn't do so. And now into the middle of the park for Fernandes. João Felix's layoff was pretty poor, but it got to its intended target. And now Felix keeps all of possession, and in turn goes to Fernandes, who will roll it to the right for Chalobah. Out wide it goes for Madueke. Chalobah into Fernandes. Fernandes goes across towards Badashile. Badashile has the space in front of him. Robin Loftus-Cheek has a bit of a joke with the 4th official. He's probably going to get about 3 minutes of first half action, including the stoppage time. As here is Gallagher in midfield. It is still Chelsea 0, Forest 1. Gallagher wants the 1-2 with Fernandes. Gets it. Nearly gets chopped down by a Forest defender. She's better from Chelsea on the attack. Hall's touch takes him backwards, but he has kept hold of the ball. He's skipping one way then the other. Aurier gets to him only just. Barashile inside now to Fernandes, who nearly goes without the ball. Chelsea just want the game to come to a halt to get the change made and then plan for the second half.
Yeah, I think so. It's almost though Chelsea have slowed things down even more, considering that they have been fairly pedestrian for long spells of this game. And trying to go down the right-hand side now with Chalobah, rolling this all the way back towards his goalkeeper. It's been far too flat a performance, and Lampard needs to try and do something in the break to rejig his team.
Yeah, the ball is back with Hall in towards Barashile. He gets it towards Silva. Silva is going to try and run this ball forward, and he just side foots it out to the right. A chance for them to get the ball into a good area. A couple of touches, a little bit heavy. He gets it away. Does Gallagher runs into traffic? He's hurt his head a little bit, I think, as he landed awkwardly. Chelsea get a free kick. Sub to be made. Chelsea are that interested in going forward. They forgot they were a man light. As Loftus-Cheek now enters the fray. Another player that I just never felt has pushed on to the levels he should have done. Doesn't help when you're not playing every week, but when he plays, I think he puts bums on seats. He's a very exciting player to watch.
He is, but then if it was a quiz question, what is Ruben Loftus-Cheek's position? I'd have to be given the 3 answers, and I reckon all of them would be correct, because he's played in 3 or 4 different positions for Chelsea. That holding role, in the number 10, in a wide role, in a more attacking role, and I'm still not sure what his best position is.
No, I still think he's a box-to-box midfielder to get forward. I think his energy, his speed, his strength, I think he excels there. But as you say, he's played right wing back for a while. That I don't think that suited him, but you can understand with his strength and his ability to get up in the air. That's maybe why Chelsea thought it was a good idea. But at the moment, he's in the middle of the park alongside Fernandes as Forest win another throw-in. They might go for another long ball into the box. 3 minutes of stoppage time. Still Chelsea 0, Nottingham Forest 1. It's gone 0-0 Southampton, Fulham at half-time. Elsewhere, it is Villa 1, Tottenham 0, Palace 1, Bournemouth 0, Manchester United 1, Wolves 0. As defender Nikate has possession, getting ready to try and launch this in with a long throw. He's done it all afternoon so far. Waiting for the go-ahead signal to do the exact same thing again, and he will lob this ball in Niakate. It's headed straight away by Chelsea out towards the far touchline, when Niakate again gets hold of it, tries to play it to Gibbs-White, who's trying to dance away from trouble. He runs into traffic though and can only kick it out for a throw. What are your thoughts ahead of the second half? What do we need more of, less of?
Well, what Chelsea need to do is have more energy in general. Without we can be more specific about whether or not they need to be attacking, but they just need to play with a bit more energy. They need to make Forest feel as though they're a side threatened with relegation, playing at the famous Stamford Bridge. Because right now, I don't think Forest have felt that too much. They've been under pressure. They've had to work hard to get any kind of bits of possession, but there's only been one flying save from Navas in the whole first 45 minutes. So need to see more from Chelsea, and potentially from Forest's point of view, don't fall into that trap that most teams do, that if you're leading away from home in the second half, don't start sitting deeper and deeper.
Certainly not, as here are Forest in possession, and they've got the offside flag again. Awoniyi's been flagged off, not for the first time. He's got to be quicker, has to be better, and the bench not happy at how lazy he's
Steve
been
Cooper there, lip reading, he just went tie and then put his hands up as if to say, well, what are you doing? He needs to watch that. It's so frustrating when you're away from home, you've got so little possession, and then you lose it almost immediately with your striker still coming back from a previous offside position.
Yeah, Felix nutmegged Aurier, but Aurier came back for a second attempt and got the goal side and got it clear. It's good defending from the former Spurs man. Went down the line towards Awoniyi, but he can't recover possession. Fernandes whips it to the right-hand side. This should be the last attack of the first half as Chalobah goes in behind towards Madueke. Lodi keeps the ball in play and hooks it away from trouble. That could well be the end of the first half, and it is. Chelsea 0, Nottingham Forest 1. Join us soon for second half coverage.